Imagine this universal and insidious scene, playing out in thousands of relationships, families, and professional situations. You've made a decision that's holistic and beneficial for you, for your growth, or for your mental health. And then you're faced with a reaction that doesn't contain outright anger, but is filled with deep, passive disappointment. You hear those seemingly innocuous yet powerful words, "I'm sorry you made that decision. I had such high hopes for you." Or, "Well, now I'll have to cope on my own." At that very moment, as if on cue, your mind explodes. You feel not justified anger or rational disagreement, but an instant, irrational, suffocating surge of guilt and heaviness. You haven't yet committed a moral error, you haven't done anything illegal, but you already feel like you've let someone down or violated an unwritten contract. You're already subconsciously ready to reverse your action or decision to escape this terrible emotional pressure. You've been conditioned to think that guilt is conscience, a clear signal of your moral error. The truth, most often, and especially in the context of manipulation, it's a conditioned reflex, subtly implanted in your brain by others to control your behavior. Your brain has been so conditioned to respond to signals of other people's pain and disappointment that it reacts more quickly and powerfully to emotional blackmail than to logic or self-affirmation. The myth we're debunking: we believe that guilt is an internal, personal emotion that we must earn for an unjust action. The truth: guilt is the most effective, covert tool of manipulation because it subtly transfers all responsibility for someone else's emotions and their lives to you. You become the custodian of their happiness. We'll uncover the dark psychology of guilt transfer and show you how your thinking must be reprogrammed to respond not with a sense of duty, but with boundaries, to regain your frame and confidence. Insight number 1. Guilt as a hidden price. A manipulator knows full well they can't force you to do anything by force or direct order, but they can make you pay a high emotional price for making choices they don't like. Psychology: you don't just do what you want. You pay with guilt for your freedom, your independence, and your self-affirmation. It's a kind of mental tax on your right to live your own life. Communication: phrases like, "You always put yourself first," or, "That's very selfish," aren't criticism, but rather a hidden price. It's a signal: your freedom comes at a cost, and you must pay with guilt. Mini story: your partner says, "I won't look for a job because I'm too anxious and afraid of rejection." You feel guilty for having stability. You pay for their inaction with your financial and psychological burden. Dark secret: you don't fear losing the relationship per se. You fear losing your role as the good person, rescuer, or victim partner, in the eyes of the manipulator, because this role has become part of your identity. Insight number 2, the trap of other people's responsibility. You constantly feel guilty because your brain has been trained to take responsibility for other people's emotions, well-being, and even their life choices. Emotions: you believe in the false dogma that their happiness, their balance, or their pain is a direct result of your actions or inactions. This is a cognitive distortion and the basis of codependency. Attraction: you unknowingly attract people into relationships who need a savior or a carrier, because your habit of carrying other people's emotional burden signals your availability for this role. Your mind must establish a clear, unbreakable boundary: your emotions are your responsibility. Their emotions are their responsibility. This is the foundation of healthy communication and psychological maturity. Truth: guilt in this context is a refusal to accept another person's independence and self-sufficiency, an attempt to leave them in the role of a helpless victim in need of you. Your thinking must see every bout of guilt as a frame test. If you fail the test, you again bear someone else's burden, sacrificing your freedom and energy. Insight number 3, identification with the role of the obliger. Guilt forces you to take on the role assigned to you in the drama, the role of the debtor who must constantly pay, or the culprit who is always in the wrong. Psychology: this role gives the manipulator absolute power and moral superiority. They are always the victim, suffering from your actions, and you are always the executioner or the selfish one. Thinking shift: you must realize that guilt is an externally imposed role, not an immutable fact about your character. You can choose a different role. Focus on action. Instead of analyzing your supposed guilt and endlessly punishing yourself, analyze the action you took. Was it integral? Was it truthful to you? If so, there's no room for guilt. Practice reclaiming the frame. Your strength lies in your ability to consciously refuse to play the game and return responsibility to the owner. Clearly and calmly state, "I understand that you're upset, but your reaction is your responsibility." Confidence comes from consciously refusing to take on someone else's emotional burden. This is an action that strengthens your frame. Your brain must understand that being honest with yourself and your boundaries is more important than the temporary comfort of the manipulator. Philosophy: right to your decision. You must trust your right to action and choice that serves you and your integrity, even if it causes discontent in others. Guilt is a last, desperate attempt to negate your right to freedom and self-determination. Your frame must be unbreakable. I am whole. My choice is mine. Your reaction and emotions about it are yours. Emotions crave harmony and external peace. Reason demands boundaries and internal integrity. Your strength lies in accepting that your actions, aimed at growth, will inevitably cause discomfort and possibly discontent in others. Your relationships should be based on mutual respect for boundaries and independence, not on emotional blackmail and duty. Your thinking should constantly repeat this affirmation: I choose freedom and self-respect, not guilt and duty. Self-affirmation: you deserve freedom from a sense of duty that does not belong to you. This is your natural right. Breaking the chain of guilt is the only path to new strength and psychological independence. Your mind is freed when you act contrary to a sense of duty and manipulation. You deserve clarity, confidence, and the right to your own life. Psychology: you cannot control their reactions and feelings. You can only control your actions, your framework, and your responsibility. The secret of power, true freedom, comes from acceptance that you don't have to fix someone else's life or pay their emotional bills.